Only 2 more episodes to go. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the newest Doctor Who episode, Season 11, Episode 8, The Witchfinders. This episode was, quick thoughts on it. A very standard episode, not very standout to me, but I will save a lot of my thoughts until later. I want to do a little review over what happened in last week's episode. It was another just very standard episode. The Doctor and the companions get called to, well, not necessarily called, but they get a message asking for help, and the Doctor, of course, has to go help whoever sent that message or find who sent that message, and they discover that it is on the packing shipping planet moon thing, I kind of forgot, from the galaxy's largest retailer, Kerblam, and things ensue, and it's basically just another typical Monster of the Week episode. I did find it did have a lot of closure, and it was more of a standard Doctor Who episode than what we have been getting in previous episodes, where they haven't been really finishing episodes or leaving the audience with a great sense of the ending. It just kind of ends and nothing really happens. So that's kind of where we were last time, and in this episode, the Doctor and the companions land in 17th century England, smack dab in the middle of a witch hunt that is kind of propelled by the arrival of King James I, played with an excellent cameo by Alan Cummings. And woo, I gotta say, he's probably my favorite part of this entire episode. He was so good. I'll talk a little bit more about my thoughts on him in the spoiler section, but yes, Alan Cummings was probably my favorite part of this entire episode. The rest of it was very bland, very standard. I felt a little bored throughout some of it because, well, actually, some of that I might have to save for the spoilers because I don't want to spoil anything. So from here on out, everything is going to include
spoilers.
Okay, so yeah, I got a little bit bored throughout a lot of this episode because it's not because it's a bad episode, it is just a very standard basic Doctor Who episode, mostly because they didn't really get to the root of the villain or the alien or what was happening until the last 10 to 15, maybe 20-ish minutes of the episode. And it just, I don't know, it just didn't feel, it felt like a regular Doctor Who episode, but the stakes just didn't feel there for me like they have in past episodes, so it was just kind of a slow episode in my opinion. But overall, it was still a decent episode, not like a standout or one of my favorites of the season so far, especially not compared to the Rosa Parks episode or the one a couple weeks ago where we went back in time to see Yaz's grandmother and get a whole history on this one object that Yaz's grandmother gave her in the present time. So it felt kind of boring, and with last week's episode it was a little bit more action-packed, and in this one it just felt a little flat to me. But we do have 2 more episodes left, so I'm kind of hoping it'll pick back up for these last 2 episodes leading into the New Year's special. And in this episode, something that I noticed this in previous episodes this season where they have gone back in time to current events, especially where they go back to India in the Rosa Parks episode, they don't change out of the clothing that they are wearing, their modern day clothes. They don't change into anything that would be current clothing for that time period. It's something I noticed, but in this episode, because it's 17th century England, it feels a lot more prominent that they are wearing these garments. They do point out the fact in this episode that they are wearing something a little bit different than normal. King James asks if they are performers or actors, and they say that no, this is their outfits for witch hunting, but at the same time, they have changed into the current garments of the era, especially if they go back in time to a actual time period in Earth's history, not necessarily a historical event, because we haven't really seen historical events in New Who as much as we have in this season. But even an episode from last season with Bill and Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, Bill changed into an actual dress from that time period. It's the River Monster one. It's set during Christmas, winter time, and Bill changes into a different garment, and when the Doctor loses his memory in a 2-part episode with the family, I don't remember the exact name of that episode, but I remember it's a 2-parter, they go back in time, and because they're in hiding, they do change, Martha changes into like a maid's outfit, and they do wear period piece clothing, but I have noticed in previous episodes where they go back in time to like a time period where there is like different clothing that they need to wear. It's not in the future where they would be fine wearing like old clothes, but like the doctor's trench coat and pants, it feels a little different to what they would be wearing in this time period. Yas is also wearing pants, and none of the women are allowed to wear pants in 17th century England. It just felt a little weird and off place. I just feel like it's something that they would have done, unless it's just something that the budget didn't allow. It was a little weird to me. I don't know, it's just me being a little like, why aren't they doing that? It's kind of weird because they've done it before. So who knows? I mean, I don't know. I love this season. I love the fact that we have a female doctor, but some of it has just been a little off-ish. Not like off-ish to me, but it's been taking me a minute to kind of sort my feelings out for some of these episodes. And the thing that I really, really wanted to talk about, because I was very excited when I saw this, because I totally forgot that he was going to be in this episode, was Alan Cummings as King James I. I knew he was going to have a cameo sometime this season. I just didn't know when, and I completely had forgotten about it. And then he finally popped up in this episode. I was just like, yes, I am so excited. And the entire time he was just hamming it up, pulling just all the stops out, and you could tell that he had some stage acting presence because it just shone through. He was so good. He is so good all the time. I absolutely love him, and I love the way he was playing up the fact that King James was like obsessed with Ryan and he wanted Ryan to come back with him, and how uncomfortable Ryan was the entire time. It was so good. I love Alan Cummings. Again, I can't say that enough. And this episode also gave us something of a first for the Doctor, at least in this season. Not necessarily in previous seasons, because this is not something that the Doctors had to deal with in previous seasons, but in this episode we got the oppression of women that the Doctors kind of had to fight against, especially when talking to King James I. He doesn't quite trust her to do her duty, and everything is just a little bit harder for her to do. There's even a line where she says, if I were still a bloke, I could get on with the job and not have to waste time defending myself, which is something we have not had to see the Doctor deal with, her just not being able to do the job or do what she wants to do, especially, I mean, considering this is the first female Doctor. It's not really even something we have seen in previous episodes, even where Yas has been oppressed as a woman, like in the, we didn't even see it in the Rosa Parks episode, but like even in previous episodes this season, we haven't really had to see something like that. We have seen it with other female companions in the past, a lot of them, especially in the episode I talked about previously where Martha becomes a maid, and in the episode I talked about where Bill has to wear a dress with the river monster or whatever. So those two episodes I talked about previously also dealt a lot with the female companion being kind of repressed by the male. But this one is the first time we've actually seen the Doctor being oppressed, and it's very different and kind of interesting to see her response to what is happening. It's also the first time that we've seen the Doctor actually say out loud that she kind of still wishes that she were a man, which is kind of heartbreaking because I love seeing her as the Doctor. I love having Jodie Whittaker there. I'm hoping that she stays on for another season. I haven't heard anything about her leaving, but I mean, if this is indicative of what's to come, maybe she is just tired of being a woman, or who knows. I don't think that that's really true. I think that's just kind of what happens. The Doctor isn't used to being in this body in this era because the Doctor's always been a male, so they haven't experienced this kind of stuff firsthand. They've experienced it secondhand through their companions, if that makes sense. I feel like I keep rambling on and just going everywhere. So to wrap this up, theories, don't really have any from this episode. It's just basically everything I have been saying for the first like 5 episodes of this season. Maybe those first couple episodes of this season will come back in the finale, or maybe in the New Year's special. I don't know, because the New Year's special or like Christmas specials in general are usually like a one-off episode that don't really have anything to do with the bigger picture of the season, or they're not really connected between the 2 seasons either. But I don't really have any theories, even though there are only 2 episodes left. I'm interested to see what they will be doing for the last 2. What I have read or seen online about the last 2 episodes, it doesn't really seem like there's anything building up. They are just going to be standard episodes, but I haven't really looked too into it because I want to be a little bit surprised when I watch those episodes. So no theories, but if you have any, let me know in the comments down below anything new, or anything that you may have thought of after this episode or the previous one. And as always, I'm going to end this with my favorite moment of the episode, which it's kind of a little bit of a funny moment. It's a little bit of a heartbreaking moment when King James the first appears, and he calls the doctor the Witchfinders assistant and takes Graham to be, or he says that Graham is actually the leader because he's the older male of the group, and a woman can't really be a general or lead a troop. And there's a moment where you see Graham's face after King James I says that having the doctor is a cunning little ruse because of women's aptitude for gossip and nosiness. And I thought it was just super funny because it's totally opposite of what the doctor is about. She's usually the one that takes charge and has no time for gossip or nosiness. She does like to poke and like look around and stuff, but it's not being nosy, it's investigating. I thought Graham's expression, I wish I could actually show it to you guys without like getting in trouble, this whole scene, because I love it so much. But let me know your guys' favorite moment in the comments down below, any theories you have for the rest of this season, what you thought of this episode, any of that stuff. Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really truly do appreciate every single one of you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking all things movies, TV shows, filmmaking, film history, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you next time. Bye!